Buzz's Retirement Garage. Those of you who know me and have watched my channel before know that I do a lot of impromptu talks here, and this is one of them. And I got to thinking, I'm just outside and I'm working in the garage, and I was doing some stuff, and I got to thinking to myself, what am I gonna like? What's our plan for the spring and summer? Well, are we gonna go on a trip? Are we gonna, how much money are we gonna spend this summer? I'm already got the wood for the raised bed, so that's gonna go onto my expenses for the month, and then I'm going to have to get dirt to fill it. I'm going to have to do, there's always going to be those extra expenses that you get in the spring and summer, especially with travel. If we decide to do anything with travel and go anywhere, day trips is going to be great. Going here, going there, that will definitely keep us busy. Cleveland has a wide variety of things to do, and a couple people have asked me, and the easy ones are the Rock Hall, but the Natural History Museum, and even a submarine. We have a submarine docked down in Cleveland, right near the Rock Hall. It's called the USS Cod, and it's a small World War II submarine. And it's amazing to climb down in there, and they let you go inside and all that, and it's just amazing how small it is, and how they could fit 47 men on that submarine at the time. I mean, it's truly amazing. So there's so many different things to do in Cleveland and surrounding areas. We were just talking about the Christmas Story House. We were talking about Castle Noel. That's in Medina, not far from me. And that's all Christmas themed house, and it's been around for a while, and it's really cool. Even my putt-putt course right up the street from me has, when I was probably 10 years old, maybe 12 years old, I was playing that course, and it's still there with the same stuff there. It's kind of amazing that it hasn't been torn down yet. So there's just so many things to do, and we're not a couple that needs to, fly to Bermuda or somewhere. Although it'd be nice, but we don't need to do that. But I'm trying to figure out my expenses. Like, how much should I spend? And it got me thinking back to the old time versus money equation. Somebody had sent me an email about the average money that Social Security people get, how many the checks that they get, what the average is. And so when you retire, you're doing the comparison of when you're going to pass versus when how much you should wait, how long you should wait before you receive the Social Security check. Now, on our channel, we've had people take it at 62, we've had people take it at 65, we've had people waiting till 70. I've actually had quite a few comments where people are waiting until 70, mainly because they're sitting with a pretty good cash amount, and or they have a nice pension. And so that's really nice that they can wait until 70 and max out the checks, which is really good. So, but then again, it's the time, the time versus your expiration date, right? Time versus money. So when you make these calculations, as they say, you need to know what your expiration date is. And nobody knows that. And that's the hardest thing to try to figure out. I was just looking yesterday. I have 3 friends, 2 that I went to high school with. Charlie, he had a massive heart attack at 58. One she was 61 when she passed of cancer. And then I had another high school friend that was in a car accident at 44 years of age. So, man, you just never know when your name's going to be called. So, and it's one thing, I can make decisions about all kinds of things because you gather the facts. You gather the facts and you make the right decision based on what's right for your circumstances. But this is one that nobody has the right answer. Nobody. And it just confounds me. And I sit here and I think there's not one person that can figure out the answer. It's like a mathematical problem that's unsolvable. because you don't know when you're going to pass. And so you get into this. I mean, I've racked my brain for a long time before I retired. How much can I get? How much will I spend? When will I pass? And I think my age was 80 when I start to, if I took it at 63 in 10 months, I took my Social Security then. Mrs. Buzz was already on it, so hers increased to basically half of mine due to the spousal benefit. And you just got to think, okay, is that enough? Because if I go to 80, if I go past 80, at the time I took it, if I go past 80, I've made a mistake. I actually made a mistake. Monetarily, I made a mistake. But time, oh boy, I'll tell you what, I'd almost pay for a life like this. This is, to me, being debt-free, getting a check from the government, 2 checks actually, between me and Mrs. Buzz, and maybe we won't be the richest people on the face of the earth, that's for sure. We certainly won't be. But did I make the right decision? Will I live to 80? Will I? My thinking is, because my mom passed at 44, 42 I should say. My father, but he was a chain smoker. He passed at 55. So, will I get to? Made it to 65 so far. Will I get to 75? Will I get to 80? Will I get to 85? Those are the unknowns, and nobody can tell you. Unless Dr. Kevorkian's still around, maybe he could give you an answer if you asked him. But we don't know that. It's the biggest mathematical unknown that there is out there, and everybody has to make their own decision. And I tell you what, if you wait until 70, which a lot of people do, like I said, that's interesting. If you're feeling great and everything's going good, but how many people do we know who are feeling good one day and then out the next? And other people, they need to work. I got a guy and I'm going to do a video. I have the video set up. I just have to get it organized, where I went back to my old place of employment. And there's a guy there. I think he's 70 something now. He's been taking Social Security, but he's also still working because he wants to work. His joy is not to be home. His joy is not to be with his spouse for whatever reason. And his joy is to be at work. Now, he told me when I went there a few days ago, he told me that July would be it, finally. He's going to retire for sure in July. I don't believe him. I just think he tried it once, they called him back, he jumped on it right away, and I just don't think he's going to retire. And so what? If that's what you like, and that works for you, why not do it? But in most cases, or in a lot of cases, that freedom of being retired and not having to punch the clock or go into the office, it's nice. As we've talked about in these videos in the past. I mean, it's like even today, the things that we did today that were just different, and we said we could do this and then we could do that, and then we said, well, or we don't. We don't have to do them. Or we could try this tomorrow instead of today. Or why don't we do this today? We just changed our plans on a moment's notice. And we couldn't do that when we were raising a family. And we were, I'm working like crazy. And, it was like, okay, well, at 6 o'clock we have to do this. At 7 we got to go here. We got to do this PTA thing. We got to go see the kids over here. They got sports over there. And your life was not bad. Not bad. I'm not saying it was a bad thing. But your life was constantly just going. And, family time is great. And as most of us know, family time is great. You can never get that back again. So anytime you get a chance to do family time, please do it. Because you never get that time, especially when the kids are little. If you have children, they grow so fast. They grow like weeds. And those are great days. But as you're working and time just goes by, And then you start thinking about retirement, and you're thinking about, man, I just want to get out of this rat race. I just want to stop doing this. And once you do, for most people, again, not all, but for most people, it's like a new beginning, a rebirth. I just and it's amazing, just absolutely amazing. And if you're there, you know what I'm talking about. Sure, there's issues as we get older. Our bodies are not feeling great every day that we wake up. We're not 20 years old anymore. We're not feeling, super energetic and jumping around. And maybe that's okay because we don't need all that energy now in retirement. Just get a couple cups of coffee and we're good to go. And we're ready for the next thing. And it can be, that next thing can be anything. So time versus money, I'm good with the time. I'm good with the time that I have now. I just remember when I was young, and me and Mrs. Buzz, when we first got married, we've been married 30 some years, 35 years now. I don't even remember. It's been a long time. And I just remember I was getting laid off from MTD, Modern Tool and Die. We were building lawnmowers in the winter time, and in the summer they built snow blowers, so they needed less people to build snow blowers. Lawnmowers, of course, sold like crazy. Snow blowers didn't sell as much, so they wouldn't need as many people. So I was laid off as a young person. I was laid off in the summer, and I remember taking back pop bottles. I mean, we drank Pepsi or Coke at the time, and I remember the 16-ounce bottles, and I think there was 8 in a pack. And I would take those back to the beverage store to get the refund on them. What was it, 10 cents, 20 cents or something? I would get the refund. I think in Michigan you guys still do that, right? But I would take that back just to buy, a loaf of bread or to buy something for the house because we were poor. I was on unemployment, not poor, but I was on unemployment. Mrs. Buzz was working at the time, but she wasn't making a great deal of money. Interest rates on the house that we had was 18%. This was back in the 80s. And it was tough, but we made it. We actually had a child in 1985, and we made it. So think about that analogy at retirement. Yeah, it's scary. Yeah, do I have enough? But think about the trials and tribulations you had to get where you're at. And maybe when you think about that and how resourceful you were and how somehow you made ends meet and somehow you got to retirement age, to keep working for that extra penny, for that extra dollar, does it make sense? Or do you just say, I'm good. I can figure it out with what I got, and that's how I'm looking at it. I'm talking about a part-time job. I'm talking about all different things to make some extra money, and I can do that. I'm resourceful enough to figure it out if I need to. If it gets down to a point where I'm eating cat food, I'll figure it out. I will figure it out. I've done it all my life, and I know you can do the same thing. So when you're choosing between time and money, put a little more weight into time. That's my suggestion. Now you do you. Well, you only know your circumstance. You know how you can do things. You know your level of income, your level of expenses. I don't. So it's easy for me to say. But when it comes to time and money, on the scales of justice, time always wins out. Buzz's Retirement Garage. Just talking again like I always do. Take care.